Cannot make it. Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to today's session. We're going to be talking about the Ultra Gradebook. On this session, as always, if you have any questions at any time, please let me know. You can raise your hand or you can use a chat, okay? Whichever you feel more comfortable with. I'll be sharing my screen and I'll be showing you the different views and the different configurations that you have on the Gradebook. Well, to begin with, if you want to access the Ultra Gradebook, all you need to do is click right up here. It's the fifth link on the Ultra course menu. And as you will see, there are different views here. Okay, let's begin with the first one, the overview. On the overview, basically, okay, you will be able to see very quickly whether you have anything that needs your attention, okay? If students have submitted something and it is ready for you to grade, then it will appear here as a list. If there are more than 5 items that need your attention, you will always see the 5 most recent here, but then there will be additional pages. So if you have like 20, you will find 4 different pages, each one with 5 items that need your attention. Okay, always the most recent will be placed at the top. And in this ways, sorry, in this way, if you need to prioritize something, then you can very easily find. That is regarding the first section here, needs grading. On the second one, okay, you will see any grades that need posting. Okay, we're going to talk about that in much more detail later in the session. However, posting a grade means making it visible for students. Normally, when you create a test, the default setting is for grades to be posted automatically. So as soon as you finish grading a test, students will be able to see their grades. However, for assignments and other gradable items, such as perhaps journals or discussions, the default setting is for grades to be posted manually. Of course, you can change this, okay? However, most of the time, okay, when you're done grading all of a student's assignments, for example, submissions, then you can post either one by one or you can post them all at the same time, okay? Thus, giving students access to their grades. So that's what you would normally find on the overview, okay, of the gradebook. Then you have the second tab, which is gradable items. Here, as you can see, you will find all of the gradable items in your course. Okay. So all of the gradable items in your course. You can see what grade category each one belongs to. On this example, we have tests and assignments mostly. The due date has not been set up for the elements within this template yet. That's why this part is blank for most of them, except for the ones that I created during previous training sessions. And then you can see if anything needs grading or if any grades need posting as well. Now, they will appear here, okay, in chronological order, that is, in the order in which they were created in your course. However, if you want to group or reorganize items on this page temporarily, let's say all you need to do is click on the header for each column. So if you want to have all elements from the same category together, just click here. The first click will be ascending order, the second one descending order, and the third one sends it back to normal. Same thing here. Here it would be alphabetical, ascending, descending, and the third one, it sends it back to its original position. Another thing that you can find on this page is, okay, these are some of the things that we created in previous training sessions. If, okay, an item, a gradable item is overdue, okay, it is past due, and there are still people, could be one student, could be more, could be everybody, and there are still people who have not submitted, okay, it is going to turn red and it will tell you how many are missing. In this sample class, I only have one student, which is my preview student. Now, nevertheless, okay, this was due on July 15th at 11:59 p.m. Nothing was submitted, and thus, okay, the icon became red, and in red here it tells me how many are missing. So that is going to be also the case on the grades view. Okay, in both these tabs or views of the gradebook, you can see that if it's something is past due, it will turn red and it will tell you how many are missing. Let's continue. What else can you do from here? Okay. For instance, okay, you can, okay, if you want to change the position of things, as I mentioned before, you can simply click on the header. However, if you want to do it in a more permanent way, okay, so if you, for example, want things to be in a specific order, then you can only change the order of elements within the gradebook from this page, from the gradable items page. And for that, all you need to do is click on these icons here, the ones with the two arrows, one pointing up, the other one pointing down. And from there, it's just drag and drop. So as you can see here, quiz 2 appears right before quiz 3. Quiz 4 over here. Okay, one more time. Okay, that's more like it. I wonder where quiz 1 went. We'll find it. So this is, okay, how you can, okay, if that is something that you need to be able to do, this is where you can do that from. Okay, it's only from the gradable items view. Okay, can you permanently change the position of items on the gradebook? And it's going to affect both the gradable items view and the grades view. Okay, what else can you do from here? From here, you can also, okay, see what options are available for each one of these gradable items. For instance, all you need to do is click on the three dots, as always. In Ultra, by clicking on the three dots on the right, you can see what options are available for that specific item. This is an assignment. So if I click on the three dots, I can edit it, check out statistics, or delete it altogether. Okay, this is a quiz. So I have, okay, one additional option. Okay, it allows me to run a question analysis. But of course, for that to be available, really, I would need to first have students take the test, right? And then the Learn would have data to analyze and provide a useful report on that. So, okay, if you want to see what options are available, just click on the three dots. And as you can see, most of these, or all of these, okay, have actually no attempts. Okay, and that's why you don't find as much information here. Let me briefly go to another course where I have a bit more data. Okay, like here, for instance. Okay, and you can, in this case, download results, for instance. Oh, and you can download results as a spreadsheet, which is probably the most useful uh, format. I have a question from Alex. Can you change the due date from this view? Oh, yeah. Remember, all you need to do, okay, is click on the three dots on the right, sorry, and then click on Edit. Okay, and the due date is right here. Just click on it and give it a due date, for instance. Okay, so now you have a due date. So remember, whenever you need to edit something, the easiest, yes, there is. And for that, you want to go to the content page. Alex is asking if there is a way to change the due date for multiple items. And the way to do that is you come here to the course content. Okay, the course content area. You click on the three dots next to the magnifying glass, and then click on Batch Edit. Let's let it load. I think my connection is a little slow today. Okay, so from here you can, okay, find the different items. So let's say you can select multiple elements. Okay, and edit the dates. Here you have access date, due date, and access until date. So due date would be Friday, and due time would be okay, and that will affect all the elements that you selected previously. Does that answer the question, Alex?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Alrighty then, let's go back to the gradebook. What else can you do from this view? For instance, if you happen to need a column in which you can manually enter grades, let's say for a field trip or a presentation, etc., and it's not something that will be submitted through Learn, then all you need is a column on the gradebook. Then what you can do, sorry, oh, here's quiz number 1. All you need to do is go to the specific position where you want the column to appear and click. You'll notice that the line turns purple to indicate that that's an active spot. Just click on it and we can add an item. We call this, let's say, presentation 1. For instance, you could keep it hidden from students or make it visible, if you will. You can also, okay, set a due date. And indicate how you're going to grade it. Well, it could be points, percentage, letters, etc. So once you have configure that. This is going to be a presentation, so you want to select that grade category, presentation. Now remember, these are the standard grade categories available in Ultra. However, okay, as we will see a bit later on today, you can also create your own custom grade categories. And remember, okay, it's always a good idea to provide a short description. Once you're ready, all you need to do is save. And you're good to go. Well, here is presentation one. And if you want to grade students, all you need to do is click where it says want to grade and enter the grade for that student and add your feedback, which could be as text or even as a video recording. Okay, whichever you prefer. And then after that, all you need to do is save it and you're good to go. However, can I explain how the Gradebook in Ultra is different than Gradebook in BB Original? Yeah, that's part of what we're doing actually, because we're covering all aspects. But yeah, I can briefly talk about the differences too. I was replying to Scoppler's question on the, or request on the chat. He would like me to explain how the Ultra Gradebook is different. All right. So as you can see, I have this grade. I have not posted it yet. So I don't have to post one by one. Here in this example, I just have one sample student, but I can wait until I have finished grading everybody's work and then post all grades for that item at once. Okay, now it's posted, and therefore the student can see their grades or their score here. All right. Also, okay, in addition to adding a manual column, you could also add a text item if you need, okay, to be able to note down something, sorry, about students directly within the gradebook. So, sample text column. You could keep it hidden from students if this is just for you to remember something, okay? And then don't forget to. Now, remember, this is not going to be part of any calculation. It's just for you to have the ability to write something down, maybe next to or note something down, maybe next to a student's name on the gradebook, etc. But from here, just click on save. And as you can see, okay, it appears right here. I will also show you, okay, what it looks like on the grades column. Also, if you need to add a calculation, which basically allows you to use a formula editor, should you have the need to come up with a much more complex, maybe calculation of your grade, you can do it from here. You have functions and variables, and then you have operators here. And it's very straightforward, pretty much like any formula. Like it would be like very similar to a formula editor in a spreadsheet tool, for instance. Huh? All you need to do, so if you want the average for something, simply select. Or you want to add elements, okay, you can do that as well. Now, for some reason, okay, I'm using Google Chrome here, but for some reason, it's not letting me view the detail here. Okay, it's not the first time that this has happened to me. However, my recommendation would be if you're going to, every other feature works flawlessly in Chrome. But if you're going to be using or creating calculated columns here, you probably want to use Mozilla Firefox. Okay, so just a moment. I put this here. It does not happen all the time, but it does. It has happened a couple times to me. So I'll use Mozilla Firefox just in case. Let me find these courses. There you go. Okay, so I'll go to the Gradebook here. Okay, let's put it like right up here. Add calculation. Let me zoom in maybe a little bit. And then it could be something as simple as, okay, let's say I have a number of elements that are mutually related to one another, like a presentation that is linked to an assignment because the presentation, the idea, the whole purpose of a presentation is for students to share their findings and conclusions after doing the assignment, for example. If that is the case, and you need, even though one is a presentation and the other one is an assignment, and you need to generate one grade out of these two different elements, all you would need to do is maybe click here, and I want the average of, here you have whole categories. So if you click here, it'll be all assignments. But in this case, I want the average of assignment, let's say assignment 2, okay? And presentation 1. I could select multiple elements, of course. So now what I'm going to see on this column is the average of those two elements, and then I can use that column as one of the elements in my overall grade calculation. Or it could be, okay, something a bit more complex maybe, like this grade, the average of these two items. But let me open a parenthesis here, put it here. It's just drag and drop, okay? Plus, I want the highest or maximum grade between quiz 3 and quiz 4. Okay, I'm only going to consider the highest, the higher of the two. And then I want to add the average of the journal category. Let's say I have several journals. Then all I need to do is close parentheses and divide all that by 3, which is a value. Okay, so if you have something like this, you want to validate. If you see the green check mark here, it means that everything's okay. If you happen to make a mistake, let's say, when you validate, it tells you that there is a problem, it tells you what the problem is, and it shows you where the problem is. So you can very easily go, aha, okay, there should be something between these two, and this is what should be there. So let's just, oops, there you go. Okay. Don't forget to validate. Okay, it's good. So now you can go ahead and save it. The operators that we have are add, subtract, divide, multiply, and that's it. We don't have a count feature. Alex was asking about whether you could have, you could use a count of items instead of a specific number, which is what I entered here. So at least Right now, a count feature is not available, just like there are no conditionals yet. I understand that they have been requested. So, I mean, that makes a lot of sense, Alex. And you may want to uh, go to the ID Exchange site maybe and see if it's been requested. If not, you could request it yourself because I see that as a potentially very useful feature. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so that's okay, your grades, gradable items view. And probably one of the main differences between the original gradebook uh, Grade Center, as it's called in Learn Original, and the Ultra Gradebook is that you have a lot more flexibility here and you have different views, okay, which allow you to focus on specific things. Overview, if you need to see what needs grading or any grades that need posting. Gradable items, which is actually a list that lets you very easily move things around, okay, and group them. So it's very easy to find things here. Or to, okay, be able to access things like statistics or the ability to edit, etc. And also to manually create elements. Then comes a grades view, which is a more traditional looking gradebook view. All right. Here, the overall grade has not been set yet. Okay, so I'm going to dismiss this for now. So we have more space here, we have more room. This is a more traditional view. Okay, probably this looks a little bit more like the original Grade Center in that you have the students on the first column, okay, one student in each row, and then you have one column for each one of the gradable items in your course. If you click on one of those items on the icon, you will see the same set of um, possibilities here, okay, or things that you can edit, like in a calculation, you could either edit it or delete it. In a quiz, you can download submissions, run a question analysis, edit statistics, etc. So if you want to see what options are available for everything and anything, all you need to do is either, if you're on the grades view, click on the icon at the very top of a column. If you're on the gradable items view, okay, you want to click on the three dots here. Because if you click on the icon, then it's going to take you to the submissions. Let's go back to the gradable items view. Okay, if you have a lot of items in your gradebook, okay, and this is, let me zoom out a little bit. You have too much going on here, then you can very easily use the filter. Just click on filter. Now you can click filter by student, by groups, by specific gradable items. If you're looking for a specific quiz or assignment, you can select multiple ones, of course. By assessment type. So by whether something is formative or summative. Or by whole category. So if I want to see all tests, for example, okay, as you can see, it's going to show me only the tests, which in the case of your template are called quizzes, right? They go from quiz 1 to quiz 10, I believe. Okay, so you can, if you're using several filters at once, you can clear one at a time or clear them all at once as well. Also, from this view, you can click in between any two columns And then you can add an item, add a text item, add a calculation, etc. Okay, you can also add attendance, actually, which could be a very good idea because attendance is usually, even if you're not going to use it for the overall grade calculation, attendance can give you a pretty good idea of student level of engagement, especially if you're going to be meeting regularly with them. So if you add attendance, you have to only do it once. Okay, so it'll be used as a grade, but you don't have to use it in the overall grade calculation. I'll show you how that works. And if you decide to use this as a reference, then I would normally select the percentage view, which I find more meaningful when it comes to attendance. So now if I close this and go back to the grade view of the gradebook, it's probably going to, okay, appear at the very end, okay, because remember, the gradebook is populated in chronological order, so I would like it to appear right next to the student's name. So for that, I'll go to the gradable items view, which is where you can move things around from. Click here on the two arrows and bring it all the way up to the very top. Okay, a little stubborn here. There it is. So now if I go to the grades view, I see the attendance right next to the student's name. Of course, in a moment, I'm going to show you how to calculate the overall grade or set up the overall grade calculation. To do that, all you need to do, as always in Ultra, to access settings, is click on the little gear icon on the right, but we'll do that in a moment. You also have a student's view. So from here, basically you have the full name, student ID, username, and the last time they accessed the course, which is an important indicator of student engagement, right? However, if you click on a student's name, you can access everything and anything about this student. The grades, their progress, what they have done, okay, in your course so far. You also have a notes or internal notes page here. This is for your eyes only. So if you want to keep some notes about the student regarding their performance or some resources that you would like to recommend or something you would like to bring up during your next interview with this student during office hours, for example, okay, this is a place to write it down, and students do not have access to this, okay? Only the faculty has access to internal notes. You also have an activity log, and on the activity log, okay, you can see every single little thing, every click, okay, every action of your student in your course. Like for example, on the 17th, this was last week, okay, this student, my previous student, took a quiz, the Unit 1 quiz. And as you can see, he connected from this IP address, and I can even check out the attempt log. So I can see what score he got and how much time the attempt took, what the final grade was, and the order in which he answered each question. Okay, first question 1, question 2, then question 4, which means they skipped question 3, they did it at the end. Tell you if it was saved once or multiple times, and what time it was submitted, and what time, how much time they spent for each question. So as you can see, there's lots and lots of data about your students. Okay. From here also, and I'm going to be creating a little video later today about this, a little demo. If your institution is using goals, okay, well, I don't have it set up as such here, but okay, if you have goal alignments within the course, from here on this page, you will be able to see how how each student is doing regarding that, okay, each one of the goals. So to record the video, the demo video, I need to adjust a few things in order to be able to have goals, etc. to work with. But I'll be doing that today. You should have access to that pretty soon. Okay. From here, you can also check out the student activity. Okay, this is a preview student, so no activity. And you can also grant accommodations. What is an accommodation? Basically is a mechanism through which, okay, you can add flexibility or provide students who need it with flexibility. And there are two types of accommodations. You have due date accommodations, in which okay, students are pretty much immune to automatic zeros or other consequences of not submitting on time. Okay, and then you also have time limit accommodations. So here you could give a student unlimited time or a specific additional percentage. Okay, you can grant one and or the other. Okay, one student could have one or both accommodations. Just one thing regarding due date accommodations. Okay, remember both types of accommodations affect everything in the course, not just one specific assignment. And when a student with accommodations is in a group, all fellow group members, okay, will inherit that accommodation for that assignment or discussion. Okay, could be one of those two. And you, at the accommodations, you will see this purple icon next to the student's name. From here, you could also send them a message. Well, you can send a message to that student, probably regarding their progress or their performance, etc. Alex is asking if I can give a student a one-time delay on the due date for some special circumstances. Yes. And that is the next. Okay, let me go back to that one. So if you want to do that, you have to do it from within the grades view of the gradebook. From here, all you need to do is look for the student, look for the item, and then click on the intersection. You can add or edit exceptions or exemptions. So here I do not have a due date, so let's give it a due date first. Okay, and let's say that the due date is Wednesday this week. Okay, so now that I have a due date here, let me click here on the intersection and add or edit an exception. This is the assessment due date. Okay. And I can, oh, in this case, this student has accommodations. So let me get rid of those accommodations here. I can show you that. Accommodations, simply uncheck them and save that. Okay. Okay. So this is the assessment due date for everybody, Alex. So I can give them an additional 24 hours or 12 or whatever I need. So it's very it's very flexible there. And I can also, okay, limit access, okay, from and to, okay. So they can only access like things the 24th, like 1 hour before the due time or something like that. I can also from here grant additional attempts. Okay. Once I'm done with configuring this, I just click on save. And I'm going to see this icon, looks like a little clock. So if I hover over it, it tells me, okay, what the exceptions are. And if you need to reset the settings, then, okay, you can do it by clicking here. Also, if a student is for some reason not expected to submit some assignment or participate in something, you can give them an exemption. Here you simply exempt the grade, click on save, and you get the word exempt here, and the student will not be penalized in any way. Now, okay, we saw the students, and then we have a mastery tab. Any goals that have been aligned in your course will appear here as columns. And once you have made the alignments with tests, questions, or rubric criteria, etc., and the student is graded, okay, submits and is graded, then you will see the student's progress regarding those goals here on this view. Okay, but more on that demo video that I'll be working on. All right, so let's see, I've shown you all of that already. And now let's go to the Gradebook settings. All right, these are the different options. First, you have the grade schemas. In most institutions, however, you usually have one or more official grade schemas. Okay. Here you have the, for some reason I have two with the same name. There is a letter grade schema here. However, if you need to provide a bit more flexibility, you can add another different grade schema. So let's call this one sample. Let's add it. To begin with, I will always get 2 grades. However, I can add as many as I want. And grades could be numbers, letters, words, phrases, whatever you need. So here, this is going to be pass. This is a very, very simple example, fail. And this one here should probably be outstanding. Now let's get the ranges right. So outstanding should probably be between 95 and 100%. And for pass, remember always, if you want to edit something, first click on the 3 dots. So this may be between 80 and 95. And then you could probably have like another one here in between, like in progress or something like that. Anyways, okay. Here we have 3 levels. You could have as many as you need. Just don't forget to save. And now that grade schema will be available throughout your course. The next item is the student performance tool. From here, okay, you can easily identify students with alerts and receive alerts. So there are 3 types of alerts that you can get. Overall grade, below or equal. If they need 80 in order to pass, maybe if it is 79 or lower, I want to be notified. Number of missed due dates above or equal, not consecutive, but in general, okay? So I like to keep this number kind of low because 1 or 2 could happen to anybody, but 3 or 4 could be the beginning of a trend. So I'll say 3. Days since last access above or equal, probably. Okay, it will depend on how often they are expected to access your course. Let's give it a 7 here. And of course, okay, you will get activity stream notification. You will send activity stream notifications to students based on low overall grade and days since last access. By default, that is on, and you probably want to leave it on. If you want to see, okay, a summary of the course activity, just click here. Okay, 1 missed due date. We haven't set up the overall grade yet, hours in course, etc. So this student has no alerts. If I click on the student, okay, then I can see student activity. Of course, there isn't any data here yet because it's not even a real student. Automatic zeros. Personally, I find this to be very useful. Okay, whenever a student fails to submit something on time, they will get a 0. Of course, you can always grant exceptions, accommodations, or you can override things or deal with students on an individual basis, right? To see what the problem might have been. So personally, I like to keep automatic zeros on, which, by the way, tends to be the default most of the time. The overall grade, we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Student visibility, normally you do not, as a faculty member, need to handle this. It's taken care of by your institution, like students who no longer have access to the courses, whether they should be visible or not. But that's probably not something that you need to worry about. Item management. Okay, from here, it's simply whether you want something to appear to be visible in your view of the gradebook or not. Okay, if there are things that you're not going to be using maybe up until certain time during the course, then you can hide those from view for yourself from here, and then you can make them visible later. But this only affects instructor visibility, not student visibility, okay? So please keep that in mind. For students, if an item is hidden, then the respective column in the gradebook will also be hidden. Then you have grade categories. You have attendance, quiz, presentation, homework, exam, journal, discussion, test, form, assignment, and the no category here. Nevertheless, you can create as many as you want. Okay, like participation, for example. And then that one is available for you to use. The only grade categories that you can actually edit or delete are the ones that you create. Okay, and you will be able to tell which ones those are. Number 1, because the icon will be a blank page. And number 2, because you'll have the 3 dots on the right. Sorry. And then, okay, here you have the course rubrics, but we have already covered that, okay, on the assessment session. Now, let's go ahead and set up the overall grade. Wait, there are 3 ways in which institutions and faculty members normally calculate the overall grade. One of them is by points and adding up all of the points available. On this example, you have 2 assignments and 1 exam. Each assignment has a maximum possible score of 100 points. And the final exam, rather big exam here, up to 300 points. So here, okay, the total overall grade is will be the calculation, or that column will display as many points as they got in these 3 assessments out of 500. I imagine a minimum passing grade would be like 400 points or something like that. Or you could also use a weighted method, which is the most popular. Each grade category has its own weight, and that's it. And sometimes you even have an advanced one in which you use a formula editor, but this is seldom used from my experience. So let's go to the weighted method, which is the most common. As you can see, you have all of the categories. Now, Ultra is going to evenly distribute the weights among all the categories. And then if you have any calculations, they will appear here. And if you want to use a calculation as part of the overall grade calculation, all you need to do is unlink it from its container, let's call this. Click on this icon, and now it's available and the calculation can have its own weight. So let's set up the overall grade here. Participation, let's give them a 10%. Now, everything, as you can see, changes dynamically when you edit a number. So if you don't want it to change again, just lock it. Journal, let's say the journal will be graded but formative, which means it will not be part of the overall grade calculation. So if you want to exempt a whole grade category from the calculation, simply click on the circle here with the diagonal line. It's going to turn purple. This will be grayed out, and the value will turn to 0. Homework, 10%, sounds about right. Forms are like surveys, and surveys are formative, at least in my class, let's say, so no. Okay, I don't have any exams. I'm using quizzes and tests. So this is just a category that I'm not going to use. Discussions, okay, let's give them a 15%. And let's not forget to lock. Quizzes, there are a bunch of quizzes here, so let's give them. Oh no, but here they're called tests. So let's say these are like pop-up quizzes, 5%. Presentations, 15%, sounds about right. No attendance grade. And there are a bunch of tests and assignments. So 22.5, let's say this one will be 25 and tests 20. Okay? So you could even, if you want to make this more flexible, as you can see, by default, everything is calculated proportionally. But if I have 14 tests and I want to make this a bit more flexible, all I need to do is edit the calculation rules, enable that, and maybe drop. If I have 14, I could drop quite a few, but I'll drop the 2 lowest, maybe. Let's not forget to save. And now, before we finish, let me show you what this looks like now. So I go to the Gradebook, I go to the grades view, and here you have the overall grade. In this case, the grade schema, okay, is letters, but you could have this, view this by as letters, percentages, points, etc. It's up to you. If you want to see the actual point value here, all you just need to do is click on the letter. And in case you're wondering what this looks like to students, let me go into the student preview. And if as a student, oh, there's a new item here, I click on it. Presentation, these are my grades so far. I can view my results for those that are available. And if I click on my current grade, it explains to me how, okay, it is calculated. And even tells me, okay, if any scores have been dropped, etc. And with that, we have reached the end of this session. I'm afraid I have another session in about 2.5 minutes, so I need to get going. Thank you very much for attending and for your questions. I hope you found this session useful. And Tara, I will be writing to you later, okay, with more information about the videos.